So, as many of you know, I went on, a mission trip to Belize this past year, this past summer actually. And it's definitely an experience I'll never forget, and I thought I'd show you a few pictures just to let you know what had happened. So we ended up going really late around, I think it was around 7, we left from the church to go to the airport. And we ended up driving, it was past midnight by the time we got there, and so we were pretty tired by the time we got to Belize with all the traveling. So there's a picture of the bus just unloading from the airport. And so that's when you can see we arrived there. That was the plane that landed into Belize. And so picture this, we're on a airplane that was really air conditioned very well. Like it was even, I would consider it too cold how air conditioned it was. And then we just walk outside and it hits you because the humidity is so hot. It was unbelievable. And I didn't think I could do it for the next 10 days because the heat just seemed unbearable. And so this was taken a little later, but I just wanted to point out we weren't alone. We had it was done with Thirst Missions, and we had 2 leaders from the organization with us. The guy in green, his name was Luda, and Lorelli is the girl right next to him in the brown shirt, and they were our 2 leaders from Thirst. And we've become very good friends with them. They felt like they were part of the team as we went on this journey. And so as soon as we got into Belize, it was morning at this point, so we had been driving all night. We got on the bus they had for us, and we went and grabbed something to eat in the meantime. There we go. And one of our first stops was an orphanage, and we didn't really get any pictures of that. They didn't want any pictures taken, so this is the only shot we have. And if you can see, a lot of people are still in long pants because we didn't know what to expect when we got to Belize. A lot of them still thought it was going to be somewhat cold, and so we hadn't changed yet because we just got off the bus and to the orphanage. And so we went and played with a lot of the orphans there, and they just had such a fun, happy spirit, even though they might not be in the best circumstances. And it was just amazing all around. But again, it was when we were there, a lot of us were starting to almost regret the trip because it was so hot we didn't think we could make it. But it did get better over time. So once we stopped, once we got back on the bus, we headed to where we were going to be staying at a church. And so we ended up, right off the bat, the bus broke down like midway, so we had to wait for another bus to come pick us up. And so that's the church we stayed at, and it was in San Joaquin. Great church. It was a small church, not many people there. We got there pretty late, and they had a service for us to sort of welcome us there. Very welcoming people there, and we didn't know how well we'd get to know them. A lot of us had no idea what to expect here, but we just sort of went with it, and these people ended up being like family to us. And so we ended up, this is the floor of the church where we would, and every night, take the pews, put them to the side, and sleep on the floor there. So that was our sleeping quarters for the next 10 days. And so one of the main things we did was door-to-door evangelism. We would go talk to either people who were in the church or people who haven't gone to church before and just talk to them about God and pray for them. And a lot of times what we would do is we would have a different event planned for that day, and so we would spend that time to invite them to one of our events that were coming up at the same time. And so there's another picture of us door-to-door. A little bit more. And so one of the main activities we were doing was a VBS. And so every day of the week we would have the kids, we would invite more every day as we did door-to-door evangelism. And we ended up having about 100 kids come to this VBS. And it was amazing to see how different they are compared to the kids we have here, because I guess their attention span is a lot longer because they don't have things always on the go when you're in a place like this. So they're more apt to listening, and they retain things a lot easier than most. It was really amazing. So we've got a few pictures of that. We did skits and stuff like that for the VBS, and we used puppets for one. And again, we didn't really come with much, so we didn't have really any props for anything. We brought 2 puppets, but that was about it. So sometimes when we did skits, we ended up, this is us trying to do the story of Jonah and the whale. So those are 2 people with a blanket to be a whale taking Jonah. And so here's another one of those Bible stories we had done. So we would just act them out and have fun with it, and the kids laughed and loved it. And we would give them a Bible verse each day. And a lot of times they memorized them really well. Like, I was impressed. I didn't even remember as fast as they could. Like, kids were so eager to tell us, too, what they were from the day before. And we also had songs, as most VBSs do, with actions, and they loved doing these actions to these songs. And as you can see, some of the leaders as well got really into some of the actions. And so we got to talk to some of the people there. That's Mumby. She was one of the people that came with us, and she was able to witness to the people there. And we definitely made a big impact on a lot of people's lives there. And they definitely made an impact on us. And so, yeah, we had snacks for them too at times and stuff like that. And on the last day, we actually asked anyone who wanted to give their life to Christ to come up if they'd like to, and every kid wanted to. And maybe they didn't understand what that meant at the time, but it was still planting the seed, and to see how many kids were so eager to want to keep following Christ was amazing to me. I thought that was so awesome. And one of our members had gotten sick early in the week, Avery, and he felt very sick for a good half of the trip, and so we ended up praying for him. And it was one of the things we did was the love feast, and that was the thing that impacted him the most working there. He really was amazed with the turnout, and I think that really bumped his spirits up and got him going again. We ended up having a power outage from a tropical storm, and it was during the love feast. So the love feast, we were going to make hot dogs for everyone and invite people out. It was free food for everyone. But we didn't think there would be a big turnout because there's a storm coming down, and the storms there are nothing like what we have here. They're way worse. Like, I went out for 1 second and was drenched. So it's insane. So you don't expect anyone to come, but we ended up having a really big turnout. I think we served about 200 hot dogs, and so we had a huge turnout for that. And there's the hot dogs there. They prepare them a bit differently. There was like ketchup and onions and mayonnaise in them, but it tasted good, so. And a lot of things we did were we went to different places, like here's an old age home, and help them out there. We went to an old age home, and I believe we went to a hospital, and we went to another orphanage, and there was a few places we went, so it was really nice. A lot of activities ended up getting canceled or at least moved, because one of the big things over there is soccer, as they call it, football, of course. And when they have a football game, it's not just a few people come out to play. The entire town, the entire village comes out. They have a field, and they just all come out for the game. It's amazing to see. It looks like if we had a battalion game here. That's how into it they are over there. And it's not like a big team. It's just people from the village who want to play. So it's amazing to see. And so we ended up playing with them, and we made our own team, and we beat one of the teams there, and they're really good at football too, so we were impressed that we won. And then just by the end of the week, they decided that they wanted to have a rematch, and they decided to bring their best team from Belize, and so they beat us like 7-1. And so we also took a couple days to actually enjoy the sights, and we went to the Mayan ruins. This is the only picture I actually have up, but I have a few more if you'd like to see, if you want to come see me later, of the Mayan ruins. This was a group picture, and they were beautiful. It's just amazing to see. Here's some more pictures of us cleaning. This was the old age home. We also cleaned a school, and that was one of our last days. Half of the group went to clean a school, and so we've got some pictures of that. And then the other half, there we go, we repainted it too. Oh, okay, don't have pictures of the other half, but what we did is also went back to the bleachers where they played soccer, and it's very messy down there. They don't exactly have garbages or anything, so they just sort of throw it anywhere. And so under the bleachers, you can't see anything because it's just full of trash. So the other half of the group, we went and picked up what we could down there, and that took quite the amount of time to do that. We also went to a hospital and prayed for some people there. This was a guy, Jerry, who's from New Jersey, actually, and I guess he was visiting, and he was having problems, and we ended up actually seeing him. We prayed for him there. We ended up on our way back into town. He was also, on the flight back to Atlanta with us, so we got to talk to him even more on the way back. Here's us cleaning the bleachers at the soccer field. And this is one of the last things I want to point out. When we were there, we found out very quickly that they had a leaky roof. As the tropical storm hit, we started to notice in the church that it started leaking, so we got buckets to help. And it turns out they were raising money already, and I believe, I could be wrong on the numbers, I feel like it was 2,000, it might be a lot more than that, I don't remember how many zeros. But they were raising money already, and they didn't have that much set for it yet, and so we went and told Lakeshore Missionary Church, the church we went with back home, that they were needing to raise money. And by the time the end of the week was done, we had the money for their roof completely paid for to make a new one. And a week after we got back, we started getting pictures of them already, not even a week. They started sending us pictures showing us that they were already building it and finished it within a day. And I mean, I just thought that's so different from here in Canada, where you need permits and it takes days to get everything ready before they can get everything done. They had the money, they were ready to go, and did it within a few days, so I thought that was amazing. And so I just wanted to thank everyone who helped with prayer and financially with this trip. It was an amazing experience. I'll never forget it. It was an amazing experience. I can't get over it, and I just really appreciate your support. It really means a lot.